How have y'all been? I am Pamela Bob, your host, Gen X, Little House on the Prairie, first generation fan, and award-winning creator of Living on the Prairie. And I am here with 70s hair model? I don't know. My hashtag imaginary boyfriend, Dean Butler. Dean Butler, hello.
Hi, Pamela. How are you?
You have the good hair.
Yeah, I've still got most of my hair. So it's still there.
That should have been the title. Dean with the good hair. Yeah. Especially when you had your hat on and you would take off the hat.
Yeah,
and
you got the hair.
Farmer hair. Yeah.
It's good.
It was good. It was trademark. And where is Alison, Dean?
We just had to start, and I know, I have a sense she will be here. She's always here.
Well, she won't stand us up.
No, Alison.
I'm sure.
Yeah, Alison will not stand us up. It's we'll get there. We'll get there. We've all seen this before. Yes. On a rare occasions, usually she'll run in. She's got 6 bags with her, and she throws them on the table, and she sits down and puts the headphone. Hello.
It's always very exciting.
Yeah,
actually.
It's always exciting. Yeah.
She's living a very exciting life. Well, how are you? What's happening?
Good. Well, I have been. Speaking of talking, I have been talking with not only with the, with the recording of the book, with Prairie Man, My Little House Life and Beyond. I recorded it in 3.5 days last week. It was just a blitz through the book and was really fun. And then
How many hours a day were you recording?
6.
Oh, Lord.
6 hours a day, something like that.
Yeah, that's a lot of talking.
Yeah.
While you were doing it, were there moments where you were in your head like, oh boy?
There were a couple of places. There were a couple, and I won't say what they were, but there were a couple of places as I'm reading saying, "Oh my God, I wrote that."
Yeah, in a good way or a bad way.
and it was a little disturbing to realize that. No, but I think it's I'm reading some early reviews that people have written online, and no one is getting caught up in the stuff where I needed to say things that maybe I didn't need to say.
Got it.
No one is getting hung up on that. So at least not yet. And
so no controversy.
No.
Yet.
No. And then beyond that, there have been, everybody's favorite. Well, my favorite publicist now, and Alison's for 30 years, Harlan Bowl, has been booking me in 3 to 4 interviews a day for the last 2 weeks. So it's just been talking about this book, and some of them have really been wonderful interviews. I mean,
wow, you're on a full-on press tour already. That's amazing.
It's pretty cool to get to talk about this. And what's really fun, and I know anybody who's written, I know Alison will relate to this, anybody who's written a book, you can tell when you talk to somebody if they've actually read the book.
Yeah, of course.
If they've taken any time at all. Obviously, the people who have actually taken the time to read the book, the interview is so much richer because they can really drill down on some things. And the fact that they have is very flattering, that they have actually taken the time. And then others, you just know that they've taken the notes that the publisher sent them and they're asking those questions. And fine, we're talking about the book and it's great. And I'm so grateful to get the chance to talk about the book. But there have been some fun stuff. There's been some fun stuff.
Dean, I haven't read the book, so I couldn't tell you.
I know. Well, no one's. I know.
Mm-hmm.
You haven't read it because it's not out yet, although the publisher has made it available to. And I don't know how they make that decision, but they make some book, watermarked version of the book available to people, and there's an advanced reader's copy, which is not the final version of the book.
Oh,
so
I see.
It's still yet to be corrected in that version. Now it's all corrected. I mean, I think the printed books actually hit the warehouses of Kensington publishers in about 10 days.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So it's
great.
It's pretty cool. So in
gonna
addition to that, now there'll be more. Sorry, I'm sorry.
Are you going to be doing book signings live?
I'm going to be signing this book everywhere I can find a table. If I can find a table and a pen and a stack of books, I will be signing this. I'll be signing this book. Yeah, I'm sorry. We're going to be in Independence, Kansas this weekend as a cast doing a yet another in a wonderful collection of 50th anniversary events with Gravel Road Market, where Gravel Road Markets were going to be out in Independence, Kansas, to a location I've never been before. I've never been to Independence, Kansas. I think it's really one of the few Laura sites that I have not been to.
Have there been events there that you just haven't been to, or is this the first year?
Yeah, I think, it's funny. Wendy Lou Lee, I don't know if Alison, who's not here yet, can't tell me if she's been to Independence, Kansas. So
I bet she has.
But she's going to be there this weekend. We're going to experience it together this weekend, along with 11 other members of our Little House family who will be there. It's going to be 13 of us this weekend. So
I didn't realize it would be that big. That's great.
Yeah. It's fun.
Look out, Kansas.
Oh, so what is it? So let's see. We've got that. Oh, and then so in addition to that, so following up later in the month, June 25th is the big release date. There'll be a book signing at the beautiful Barnes and Noble bookstore at the Grove in Los Angeles on the 27th, and I'll be in San Diego on the 28th at the American Library Association doing an event with them. So it's going to start off. It's going to start off fast.
It's great. Watch out, California. He's going to be there live in person.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, have we heard from Alison yet?
I think we have. I think
Not
we
that
have.
I'm
Yes.
bored
No,
with
I think
you
we
or
have.
anything
And
like
no. Listen, she's coming, and there's a reason that I think that she knows that this show is about her.
Oh, I see. Should I say it?
Yeah, I think you just did.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll officially say it now.
You just
okay.
said, say it about her.
Okay. Today is a very special day because Alison Arngrim is our guest. As much as any person who has been part of the Little House on the Prairie television series, Alison Arngrim has been at the center of the legacy, nurturing it, keeping it alive for generations of fans. We love Alison. Nellie, she's here. She's coming up. From the studios of UBN Go in Burbank, California, it's a special event podcast. This is the Little House 50th Anniversary Podcast. We're so grateful to visit seemevalley.com for their commitment to present the Little House 50th Anniversary Podcast. Because of the Little House on the Prairie 50th Anniversary Cast Reunion and Festival, Simi Valley is mentioned. Of course they are. In Little House conversations all over the United States and around the world.
For their support and commitment to Little House and Simi Valley, we also want to thank Cozy TV, Rodex, Modern Prairie, Price Ford, the City of Simi Valley, and Adventist Health Simi Valley. Thank you all for your support of the Little House 50th Anniversary Podcast.
That's us. Yeah.
Let's do this.
Brilliant. It's like having a live orchestra right here in my living room. All right. Are we ready to bring her in?
Yes.
TV's master of manipulation, a Cruella in curls, and nurturer of nasty. Oh, yeah. Welcome, everybody. Alison Arngrim.
And where is she? Is she crawling up behind the table? There she is.
This happened last time, too.
I know.
This is going to enter every week.
This is her, right. And that was very funny in New York, so let's run it back. We've got it again. How are you?
It's a new trend.
You're here.
Hi. I'm crawling out from under tables. And
yes, you are.
I think this week is the longest week we have not talk to each other.
Oh my God. I know. It was like every day.
We texted a couple days ago, but besides that, I was like, wow, this is the longest stretch. It was like 4 or 5 days without talking.
Because I was in New York and it was a marathon. So let's go to a show. Let's get something to eat. Let's go. We have well, the day of the show was like, let's come and we'll have lunch and then we'll talk and then we'll do the show and then we'll go out and then we'll get dinner and then we'll go to the show. It was like, good God.
How many shows did you see when you were in New York?
You saw
5?
I
did
you
like 3 days.
Did you go together? Did you go to all these shows
We saw one
together?
show together. We saw The Outsiders.
I saw what I see? I saw Dead Becomes Her, the parody of Death Becomes Her with a murder mystery thing thrown in.
Of course.
I saw Say Gay Place at the
Starring drag
university. Very good, very good. I saw Titanic, which is a parody of Titanic as told by Celine Dion. Yes, it's
hilarious.
Real. I was there. You weren't there. You just sang the song. Or was I? And it's Celine Dion telling a fractured version.
Is it her?
No,
someone playing.
Oh, it's this one. She's
Someone
hysterical.
playing her. It's
I
a
am Celine
parody.
Dion, and yes, Titanic. I know the real story, and it's a Celine Dion character giving her completely
It's a big hit here in New York.
fractured, upside down version of the events of Titanic music, screamingly like third grader humor. I mean, like you got to be about 10 to really ever. It's like it's just so dumb. And then we saw The Outsiders.
The Outsiders.
Which I was like,
So this based on the movie,
Yes,
The
the
Outsiders?
movie and the
So it's
book.
gangs in the 50s in
It's-
Oklahoma.
What is it? You know how they call Dune Sleepy Star Wars? This is Sleepy West Side Story. I wasn't a fan of the movie, so I was like, about that. No, musical's great. Musical's better than the movie. I
it's
really
really
liked
good.
it. I really liked it. It was very good because everybody in it's so good. The singing is really good, but it's kind of West Side Story in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
But it's good.
West Side adjacent.
And then what the heck? Oh, and then I saw my childhood role model and hero, Miss Patty McCormick Bad Seed herself, in a fantastic play called Just Another Day, about a couple with Alzheimer's who meet on a park bench, and will they remember where they know each other or not? And it's like, oh my God, it was fantastic. It was fantastic. And got to see her after and everything.
Wow.
Yeah, she had a big old time here in the Big
I
Apple.
saw everything.
It was good.
I saw everything. It was great.
Good for you. I have other friends who go to New York and do the theater binge for. Do you go to like TKTS and get your last minute tickets?
Because I was doing a show because I did my show.
Sure.
And then
Right.
it's like Chip Deckett who booked me goes, well, I'm producing this show and this show. You want to go to this? Sure. And he's like, and I can get tickets for this. Oh my God, Patty McCormick's in town. Patty McCormick's in town. Shut up. We're going. He goes, let me get tickets. And then you had some service.
I did Today
You
Ticks.
did-
Hey,
yes.
Today Ticks.
And you
I'm
got us a
shouting you
good
out if
deal
you wanna,
on that one.
sponsor or anything like that.
And then
Today Ticks is great.
Chip referred me to some service and I got a good deal on Titanic that I bought. So I just, And
Titanic.
It's
Love
Titanic.
that.
Titanic. Oh, this is Celine Dion. I tell you the real story. It's so dumb. It's so dumb. It's hysterical. Yes.
And it's packed.
Absolutely jammed to the rafters. But it's like,
So wait, is this now? How long has it been open?
About
a while.
I think it's been over a year now.
Has it really?
and
So it's got that out of town
on-
audience coming.
No,
Well, my
it
buddy
came
Drew
in, like,
Droege.
off Broadway, and then it moved downtown. It's at the Union Square.
Yep, Union
Theater
Square.
downtown. It's a huge hit.
Drew Droege, my friend Drew Droege, who was in Karaoke, the one who played Nellie Olson, was in it as Rose's mom. He's not in it currently. I was bummed. But yeah, he played the mother.
So it's really a spoof. It's
yeah.
like big times. If he's in it, it's a big time.
There is a
spoof.
character that is introduced as
So I mean, you got to tell who now.
iceberg.
Explain who this actor is.
Drew Droege is a very large man who is a brilliant comedian and actor, and also does many female characters and drag stuff. And when
He is fearless.
brilliant show.
Fearless.
Almond Grove Karaoke, the send up of Little House, he was Nellie Olson. And I came
Did
in
you
and
ever?
guessed
You
it.
didn't see this, did you?
I saw a bootleg. of
Okay.
it. Yeah.
Okay, good.
But don't tell anyone.
I guessed it as Mrs. Olson for 2 shows, so I was walking around with this guy's like a head taller than me. He's my lovely daughter. Yeah,
There he is.
Yeah.
No, he's
Yes, there.
yeah,
That there.
He
That is Mr. Drew
is
Droege. He's a genius.
character.
He's a genius.
Yeah, I mean,
in puff sleeves.
absolutely fearless and a riot.
He's very good. Very good.
Yeah.
But no, but
the show-
Titanic
yeah.
reminds me of, I was in Silence, the musical, for a year and a
Silence
half,
of the
which was
Lambs.
also a hit in New
Send
York,
up.
which is the parody of Silence of the Lambs, which is the funniest and most clever show
what
I've
were you-
ever
what-
done in my entire
you play?
life.
Were you playing the Jodie Foster part?
I was. I started off as I understudied
dying.
all of the women in it, and then I was bumped up when Jen Harris, who originated the role brilliantly, and she left the show, and then they bumped me to that part. So I was able to do that for almost a year or something like that.
Isn't
and
that
still
awesome
to this
for
day,
you?
it's the funniest thing I've ever, and the most clever. Chris Catelli directed it.
Funnier than living on a prairie?
Different. Oh my gosh!
Well, it has to be
Maybe.
different.
I love these
Let me
things.
get
I
that
love these
picture
things.
so quickly.
God.
Living on a Prairie. Yeah, totally different genres. Silence was literally the script of Silence of like 95%
Oh, that's
of the show
hysterical.
was the actual script.
Kind of a
Silence of the Lambs.
karaoke then
Seriously?
of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hilarious. Just brilliant.
So it's
It was
all in
brilliant.
the intention. The intentions change a little bit.
Oh, completely. And just brilliantly staged and hilariously funny.
Wow.
And
Okay.
I just found out that they're taking it to the Edinburgh Festival this year. So it's going to be in Edinburgh.
Wow.
Not with
Awesome.
me, though, with some lucky UK people. But
Titanic-
anyway, we're here to
yeah.
talk about
Yes, we have to.
Alison.
I was
we
just
have to
going to
talk
say.
about me.
No,
Although-
let's talk about you.
Just,
you.
Titanic does include a moment where, and now, Tina Turner as the iceberg. And a character playing Tina Turner playing the iceberg walks on
Yeah.
stage and snaps a model of the boat in half. I mean, it's like that silly. It's that level of insane. That's
Is
why
she
I-
like dancing the Watusi or something?
Well,
when she
big,
does it?
big silver and blue costume, like I am an iceberg. It's no, like I said, it's
Oh my
snorting.
God.
It's snortingly fun. It's that kind of like it's dumb. Yes.
Oh my God! That's
everyone
great.
at Titanic
See, when dumb
screams their
is-
head off.
When dumb is done smartly.
Oh yeah, it's great.
brilliant.
It's great. No, that's a
Brilliant.
very to find that fine line of
Yes.
between this flat out stupid
Yes.
and brilliant is
The door,
really great.
they come
Yeah.
out holding the door, and they like holding up the door that they lie. I mean, and the car scene. I won't even tell you how they do the car steamed up scene, but everyone it was like fall out of chair, die. It was yes, it's really fun.
Okay.
I recommend Titanic.
All right, so
go.
we're not going to talk about
Theater reviews.
What
Yeah.
Titanic is what it is?
Yeah, Allison's theater review moment. There,
All right,
you're good.
all right, so we
Okay.
need to talk about you.
We should send this
So
clip
Okay,
over
bring
to
it. What are we doing? What are we
post it on
doing?
their socials. Okay, let's talk about you, Allison. Let's
Yes,
talk about you.
please.
You are such a beloved human being, not just actor, not just character from the show.
How did that happen?
But you have truly.
how did that happen?
How did that?
How did that happen?
I am
Because
like-
it's
from
true.
Nasty Nellie to the most beloved person.
I and my many
from the show,
psychiatrists would like to know.
Well, let's start from the beginning.
Well, it's obviously worked. I mean, the mini
They're good.
psychiatrist- Yeah.
They were good.
Yeah.
I'll tell you.
Yeah. So
I
okay.
want
So you
to-
asked.
yeah.
Yes. Ask the
no,
question,
I just want to
Pamela.
start from the beginning, and then I will
Yes,
definitely
anytime.
get there. But you have been immersed in the entertainment business, in the entertainment industry, your entire life. So can you take us from the beginning? Tell us who your parents were, and how did you end up in the business?
So, Casper.
Oh,
My
Oh, is
parents,
that- okay.
yeah, my parents met in the theater. My mother eventually became a big hit in voiceover and was the voice of Casper, the friendly ghost. I love this person. She was Casper. She was Gumby. She was Sweet Polly Purebred, Underdog's girlfriend. Where's my underdog? And Davy of Davy and Goliath, which is hysterical. She was kind of everybody. I'll tune into a cartoon and it's like it's something. No, my mother's not in this. And then at the end, like the characters.
There's your mom and dad.
Yeah, there they are.
that's both of them?
That's
God,
my
they're
parents.
good-looking.
Aren't they pretty? And
Yeah.
a character will show up. The character's mother shows up at like the end of the cartoon and go, oh, and there she is again. Okay, yeah. And a lot of the cartoons back in the old days, they just hired like two people. So my mother is, Casper and Spooky and Wendy and Nightmare, and she's Gumby and Gumby's mom and Gumby's sister, and like Goo, and
not
like
many
everybody.
women too. So the fact that
Right.
it was her, and there was one other sort of more well-known
June Foray. June Foray.
That's
It
it.
was like
June
June
Foray.
Foray.
Those were the
Yeah.
only two women. I've
And the
ever heard
woman
of.
who was Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Billy something. My mother was friends with the woman who was Rudolph, and we got this was my favorite. We got
So woman
Christmas
was
cards.
Rudolph, young Rudolph with the red
Little
glowing
Rudolph,
nose.
little Rudolph, that was a lady. She was very nice, and my mother knew her, and
great.
we got Christmas cards. So as a little girl, my mother would hold up the Christmas card. Go, this is a Christmas card from Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer.
Amazing.
That's like,
I love. That's
blew
one
my
of the
mind.
great animated pieces
Oh my
of
God, yes,
all
I love them.
time.
It still
There's
holds up,
always
man.
tomorrow.
Yeah,
I'll
it's
start
just
singing it if you didn't. Yeah, yeah.
Incredible.
I was a Gumby person. I know you always say
Gumby.
who's different types
Yes,
of, if they're Casper
cartoon
people,
astrology.
Yeah,
You're a Gumby.
cartoon astrology,
There
I'm a
she is.
Gumby
There's my
girl.
mother and Gumby.
Oh,
They're Casper. There's her Casper face. Yes,
Casper.
there she is, being Casper. So that was really weird. So I had turned on the cartoons in the morning. I was a very small child, and they were all my mother. And I knew
That's wild.
this is the thing. A lot of people ask, like, how in the world? I had a huge separation between fantasy and reality at a really early age, when many kids are still like, how did the people get in the TV? I knew because my mother, I went to her to the studio once. I think it was with Wally Cox when she was doing Underdog. I'd been in the studio. I knew people had big microphones and they talked into them, and then they made I got it. So when I watched the cartoons, yes, I was enthralled with the adventures of Bugs Bunny and Gumby and everyone. But I knew that there was a man named Mel Blanc, and that somebody somewhere was yelling into a microphone, and somebody was drawing cartoons, and they made these lovely things. And I knew that the people on TV, I would see people die on television on Tuesday, and they'd be at our house for dinner on Thursday. Yeah. So I kind of figured out it's not real. So I got it.
Was your family's life like that? I mean, you're just sort of. It's so interesting to me when you think about the social life that goes with this world.
I had Batman's agent.
Well, especially your dad.
I'm sorry, you had Batman's agent?
Batman's agent, yes.
What does that mean?
Batman.
No, I guess
Batman.
that. It's the had Batman's agent that I'm
Lou
reacting
Sherrill.
to.
I was signed with Lou Sherrill as a
Oh,
caller.
you had him as your
my
agent.
I had
Got it.
Bloody well.
I'm
Adam
sorry,
Rich.
I was confused.
I was a very important child. Adam was agent. Damn it, I did. And that's who got me Little House. And he had the white shoes and the gold pinky ring and like the whole bit and the roles. He was hysterical. He's out of a movie. What
was the scene like? Because that seems like a whole sort of subculture in and of itself. That whole agency.
And your dad was part of that subculture.
And then, because my parents, so when they were in New York, when my dad was on Broadway, he was in Luther with Albert Finney and Tamerlane, which was the whole one that came down from Canada. He was in
your dad looks like a Broadway guy.
And he was one of the shows he was in was with William Shatner. I think that was when he was in Tamerlane. So because him and Shatner came up out of Canada, same stuff.
Sure.
The Stratford Festival went to New York, and it was a whole thing. So he was doing all that, and my mother's doing the cartoons. And then when we got to California, my father went into management, and he started working for Seymour Heller and Associates in the big 9,000 building on Sunset, in the office. And they had Debbie Reynolds and Liberace, among others. And he was sort of assigned to the LA Liberace adventures. Seymour would go to Vegas with him. We would go to the LA shows, and we were told, well, you need to go rent a house near Liberace. So we moved to the Hollywood Hills around the corner from Liberace's house. I don't know.
So he literally had, we was managing him, he really literally had to be like right there.
Yes, go hands-on. Be near Liberace in case Liberace could be doing an interview. Can you come over? I need to, or I don't know, a sequin fell off. I don't know. The hell, what kind of Liberace emergency was he going to have? But in case Seymour couldn't get over there fast enough, he's having an interview. There's a problem. He could walk over, and so it was bonkers. So Liberace was a figure in my childhood, and we went trick or treating at his house because. Hell yeah, you're going to go trick-or-treat at Liberace's.
He's got the big Snickers.
He's going to have the good stuff.
Not the minis.
That would put, being around that kind of a crowd would put a spin on your world. No question.
We saw everybody and everything. It was like we lived in Hollywood, Hollywood. Yeah. And we saw show people. And I thought this was all normal. I kind of thought showbiz was a thing. I said in my book, I thought everybody was on TV until I was 7. I thought people took turns.
Oh, that's so.
Isn't everyone in showbiz? People have other jobs. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
It was like the Truman Show. I just kind of thought it was all one big thing. What is happening? So I didn't really understand that there were people who had normal lives and weren't in show business till I was probably 8 or 9 and met more people outside of our family.
Wow.
It was a little weird. But so what happened though is for me it was kind of great because when people started on Little House, Catherine McGregor, Karen, who had not been famous in some weird before, hadn't been interviewed before, and were had normal lives. I remember, for instance, Catherine did an interview with TV Guide, and was just I didn't say that. That's not how I said that. God, they changed my words, and they said stuff that didn't. That's not, and I was like. Well, it's not like Newsweek, honey. It's TV Guide. And I'm 14.
Smoking a cigarette. Yeah.
It's TV Guide.
One hand and the other.
And I was she did.
She would be very indignant about that.
She was horrified. And and a lot of people were getting these interviews and going, but. And I, at 14, 15, was okay, if it was Time or Newsweek or something, but it's TV Guide. It's like talking to 16 magazine. Yeah, it's an entertainment. They're making it up, babe. Where you been? And you've read this thing? doing? And everyone's looking
They're
at me.
making it up,
they
babe.
make
Where have you
stuff
been?
up.
Wow.
And people didn't know that they made stuff up. I thought everyone knew they made stuff up. So I was
But that must have given you quite an edge when you were on the show and you were doing, because you weren't just a novice.
No, I was an old 40-year-old broad with a cigar, basically, with a martini at 12. It was weird but it did help because I wasn't freaked out by things like fans, publicity, strange magazine articles. I was
I'm curious. I'm going to jump in. How much work had you done before Little House? Was there a lot? Was there a lot?
I kind of had an entire career. I used to say Little House is my comeback role.
Wow.
I'd had a career and been washed up. I started working. My SAG card says member since 1967.
Oh my God.
I'm 100. So I got a job, I don't know, 5, 6. I think the Hunt's Ketchup commercial was the first thing I did.
What were you, 3 or something? When
Five. I think the first thing was the Hunt's Ketchup commercial. I'm not totally sure. I remember doing the Hunt's Ketchup. God, I may have done things I don't even remember freaking doing. I did the Hunt's Ketchup commercial, and I enjoyed that enormously. It was very fast. Black and white. I'm so old. My commercial was in black and white. And it was the one the little kid's trying to put the tomato in the bottle. It was a huge national commercial. It was a big honking deal. Try to put the tomato in the bottle. And they're trying to shove it in the thing. And so I'm pushing down on a tomato with a ketchup bottle. Of course, it breaks and the tomato splatters all over me. And I'm in a gorgeous little tennis whites outfit. I was very upset because I had tomato juice.
No.
Yes. And they were very nice. And the nice wardrobe lady, they're all going, the poor child. And the wardrobe lady comes over and says, is there anything I can do? And at 6, I said, yes, get this goddamn tomato juice off of me. Tallulah Bankhead at
Seriously?
6.
At 6?
What were you, 4?
You said
3?
that.
5?
6. And I said
my
that.
gosh.
Get this
Goddamn tomato juice off of me. And the crew were like, bah! Everyone fell out because I was 6 and I looked about 2. I was like this hot, I was like this big. And I said, I looked like a
and where
Barbie
did
doll.
that come from? Was that
My father who swore.
Okay, so that was your father. Okay.
I said,
it makes me think that
many
your parents
choice
talk
moments.
to you. Yeah, no, but it makes me think that your parents talk to you just like
you're just a
like
person.
Little kid, like you're just a person, and this is how people
and so
talk,
did other adults. And I watched TV and movies, and sometimes some things did fly out of my mouth when I was 3 or 4 that my mother told stories about. And then there was a time you walked in and said at a cocktail party, and everybody went.
One time, when my son was 3, he used the F word at the dinner table. I wasn't home, and my husband said, "Henry, where did you hear that word?" And he went, "Mommy says, threw me under the bus."
My mother was so
under the bus,
sweet and Casper-like, and had this personality where she was like Mary Poppins that you'd never. She was so sweet, but you wouldn't believe that she was like this wild
swore
person,
like a sailor,
and
that
and you
makes
never
me
believe.
love her even more.
And when she was working in offices, she had to cover it up. And one time she was typing, and she said, "Oh, F word." And they had a fit, and she said, "Fudge." I said fudge. Mary Poppins used it all the time and tried to cover. But yeah, I picked up things, and I did. Apparently when I was 3, I said something about I had a bad dream and came in. They went, "Oh, honey, what's the matter?" And their guests were there. They thought, "Oh, isn't that cute?" And I said, "Those effing pirates are after me again." And they just kind of so yeah, Hollywood. I was around and I was to say things.
So, all right.
I was taught, don't swear in front of grandma. Try not to swear in front of grandma. Be nice.
Nice.
Be nice and not swear in front of grandma.
So you in your comeback, how old were you when you think I'm a has-been?
11. I was washed up. I had done a movie when I was 10, which people are finally getting. I'm getting requests now for the movies. People just recently on Facebook posted, "Oh, Throw Out the Anchor." I'm like, now, I've been talking about this silly movie. I made a movie when I was 10 called Throw Out the Anchor with Richard Egan and Dina Merrill. It was kind of it was totally a ripoff of Houseboat, and it made for 29 cents. But I got a trip to Florida. I went to Disney World. It was just opened. It was freaking awesome.
Fantastic.
There were alligators and manatees and
everywhere.
I had a pet possum in my hotel room. It was insane. It was great. It was great. So I got bitten by all these bugs, and they had to take me to the doctor, and I was on meds for half the thing because I was ill from being bitten by too many bugs. It was craziness.
Alison,
I had a great time.
Do you think your parents recognize like, oh, she's got talent at a young age, or do you think they would have had you go and audition and try this regardless?
And
because that was the world that they knew.
We usually just leave him the hell out of the story because we don't like him. But I had an older brother who indeed was working. And he was working. So everyone was working. My father was working. My mother was working. My brother was working. I was. My aunt was a coloratura, a soprano. My uncle played violin at the Hollywood Bowl and worked with Yasha Heifetz. Everyone was in show business. And so, yes. So
you had to be.
You had to be.
Yeah.
I was really considered like an after. They did not think I would be the famous one. I was totally like,
interesting.
She's cute. She's cute. We'll find something for her to do. And I started working. I had the commercial. I did a bunch of commercials. I did an episode of Room 222. I remember I had a screen test for the TV series
Room 222 was a high school show.
I was a little girl, and one of the guys was pursuing some girl, and she was dating another guy, and he was kind of stalking her, like, she's left me for another guy, and following her around. And he keeps getting waylaid on his way to follow her. And there's a little girl, please help me across the street. And he has to help me. And I held her. That's it. But little stuff. And I was working my butt off. I was on a marvelous show called Juvenile Jury. It was a rip. I was in all the rip-offs. I was a rip-off of Kids Say the Darndest Things. Juvenile Jury. I did it a bunch of times.
I can't. You on a show like Kids Say the Darndest Things.
Because I did.
Would be unbelievable. Can you see her with Art Linkletter on on a weekday afternoon, dropping the F-bomb with Art Linkletter in some...
Yes.
I totally see
Pirates
that.
Are
my host was Gene Rayburn, I believe.
Oh my God.
Even
one of the filthiest men ever.
Exactly.
Sorry. Funny,
brilliant.
Funny, and with a potty mouth.
And
absolutely.
The cast, all the other kids were brilliant. I was the Kitty Carlisle of the third grade. I was a panelist. I was a scream. I loved that job. I did a bunch of... and then I did Throw Out the Anchor, which was huge, like months of stuff. And it's on, people are posting on Facebook. I'm quite good. I play a nice child. I play a very nice child.
That's not possible.
That's what's shocking about it.
No, that's just not possible.
I'm so sweet. I'm this sweet,
you cannot be a nice child.
Darling little girl. And it's like right before Little House. And then I stopped working. And my father sat me down and said, you're not booking. And,
that's tough at 10 years old to have that conversation with your dad.
Booking.
Your manager tells you, you're not booking, honey. You're going to have to do something else.
Yeah. And you may not work until after. It happens with a lot of child actors. It bogs down around this age and adolescence hits and you might not work till after 18, or you might never work again. And you've known enough of my clients and you've seen what happens to be, you've seen people who are on series and then they stop working and that was it. So from reality, you personally know people who were on big shows and then they stop working. So I'm not making this up. And you're 11, but you need to know
Can
this.
you process that at 11? I mean, do you really? Can you?
Sort of. I knew it was true. It wasn't like I had, it happened to better people than me, I guess. And I was like, oh, well, see, and I was kind of like 11 seems a little soon to be, but maybe.
Yeah.
And then, of course, like 8
little
months
did they
later,
know.
I got Little House on the Prairie.
The role of a lifetime.
Literally the role of a lifetime.
Yeah, when I make a comeback, baby, I make a comeback.
that was a hell of a comeback. That was a big one. So so the question.
So when you found out you booked it, what was your response?
My God,
was it screaming? Was it jumping up and down? Was it?
Yes, and everyone, because it was like a job. An actor got a job, so anybody else got a job. Woo! And I knew I had nailed it. The audition, everyone has the audition story from Little House, and they're all hysterical because I did the thing. And that was the whole thing where I got I didn't know there was an Nellie Olson. I hadn't read the books. No idea. Cold. Here's these pages. No idea. I'd read for Laura. I'd read for Mary. They made the pilot. I moved on with my life. Then I get pages. And I get pen and go, what in the world? And this girl is horrible. I don't think the country girls have a penny. What do you think, Willie? And I'm like, who is this person? Who talks like this? And I'd been reading for all these sweet little children. This girl is just terrible. And I turned to my father. I said, this girl's a bitch. And he says, what are you talking about? And I read it for him. Well, my father starts laughing hysterically. It's like, oh my God, she is. And he said, okay, read it like that. I mean, exactly like that. Like, don't change anything. And I said, okay. And he goes, in fact, don't read it again. Don't rehearse it. Put the pages face down. Don't look at them. Like, don't even look at them. I'm like, okay, what is happening? Because like lightning had struck, and he's like, just do that. So, and then it was Michael, it was Kent McRae, it was Ed Friendly,
It was the whole group,
the holy, you know, it was the trifecta right there in front of me.
Yeah.
And I went, ooh, okay. And so, and I knew who Michael was. I mean, I knew.
How were you dressed when you walked in the door for this?
Oh, good question. Yeah.
I believe.
Were you prissy, or were you
cut
like
off shorts and like a purple? I kept the wardrobe from Throw Out the Anchor because I really liked the clothes. And so it was one of my like sleeveless tops and shorts and sneakers. I just being picked up after school.
You were just a kid. You were going in as a kid.
Cold, because I didn't know. It's like I got picked up. What? And I did today. Okay, got in the car. And there I was. I had no idea. And so I was like, okay. And so I had no clue. So I would have put on a dress or something if I had no idea.
So good that you didn't.
Yeah, not a clue.
Yeah.
And so I read the thing. And they started laughing. Now, I knew Michael was, I knew, I wasn't a Bonanza fan, but I knew he was.
Of course.
Lauren Green was a famous Canadian. Lauren Green, Michael's dad,
yes.
Bonanza, was the voice of the CBC. So my parents thought that was funny. That
Great
the
voice.
most famous Canadian was big American dad. So I'm like, oh, okay, it's fine. I read the thing. They become hysterical. And they said, please, could you do that again? And I said, yes, what would you like me to change? Right, I'm asking for adjustments because I'm 100 years old at 12. So I'm like, yes, sir, what would you like me to change? Nothing. Just read the thing about the house again. No one had ever done that. Nobody ever was like sobbing with laughter and just going. So I went, okay. And so again, I said, my home is the best. Well, it's funny.
Well, the way you did it was so deadpan.
Yes.
Alison, you read. There's no smile on your face when you read this.
No,
it's like
and it's
just
also the way that you pronounce certain words. And I mean, I can't imagine the relief and the joy that they must have felt in that room when the girl finally came in. Do you know what I mean?
And they know instantly, too.
They thought it wasn't,
girl.
It could be a fluke. That's why it's like, read it again, because they went, can she do that twice? Did we just see that? Did that just happen? What I think it is there's a marvelous joke in there that I thought was funny at the time, and I don't know if everybody else got it. Not everyone got it, and not a lot of 11-year-old girls got it, but I got it. We have 3 sets of dishes. I'm sorry, the dish thing's hysterical. We have 3 sets of dishes, one for every day, one for Sunday, one for someone when someone very important comes to visit.
Yeah.
Which we have never even used yet.
No, it's great.
She's bragging.
Yeah, of course.
And
mom, they cut to mom when she does, and Catherine is so proud.
Pride.
And Richard is like rolling. Richard's hiding because it's just like, why? How is this happening?
And
to
it's
our
like,
girl?
you live in Walnut Grove, Minnesota. No one is coming to visit. You don't know anybody.
You're literally
the Queen
pioneer people
coming.
in the prairie land.
Nothing.
Speaking
she doesn't.
of Catherine and Richard, though, so you book the job. You haven't met them yet. Yes.
No.
Was the first day of filming when you met your family, Catherine and Richard Bull and Jonathan Gilbert?
Yeah,
And
it was
Jonathan Gilbert.
and Melissa and everybody.
Everyone.
It was mind blowing. I was in shock. I was actually kind of terrified. I was actually kind of shy as a kid. Okay, I was like a lot shy.
I just don't believe that.
I know
I
that's
know, it's so wild.
weird, isn't it? So I'm very sympathetic to shy people because I was pathologically shy as a child. Couldn't look anybody in the eye. Absolutely, look at me shoegazing. A lot of shoegazing, and very nervous and didn't like to talk to hi and it was really weird. Well, I know because what the hell happened? I call it the Bette Midler School of Overcompensation. I read about how Bette Midler was. How is Bette Midler shy? Apparently, Bette Midler was shy. And I read how the actress Nancy Walker, apparently very shy. What? Both of these women went to extreme lengths to fight their shyness and actually have these outrageous personalities. And I went, I could do that. And so I set myself a task. And especially when on Little House, I was getting calls, and the agent, Adam West's agent with the gold pinky ring, picked up his diamond-encrusted phone to say, hey, what's going on? They said she's not talking to people. And they said that there's something wrong with me because I was so shy.
That sounds like some version of the Joey Tribbiani agent.
I know, from
on
Friends.
Estelle.
Yeah, yes.
It sounds a little like that.
Completely like that.
I mean, it's so cliche, but it's true for so many.
The real thing.
Yeah.
And so, oh God, I get so shy. So, I mean, I was trying to be very good, and I knew my lines and things, I'm going to do my work, but it was like, and then there was all these people, and so I, basically had like a nervous breakdown, like day one. I was like, what is happening? But everyone was so nice, and they were fascinating. And yes, Richard and Catherine, I did bond as a family immediately. And Richard Bull was the one who, day one or day two, but like hours in, looked at me and said, say roof. Say about, say out. What part of Canada are you from, little girl?
Yeah.
And so, yes, I was like, my mother's from Vancouver. Yes, no kidding. Okay, got it. Thank you. And so there's this child with this heavily pronounced Canadian accent. And he was like, what is happening? Why is the child speaking with a Vancouver accent? Because if I wanted to sound fancy, I would speak like my mother or grandmother, which of course was a Shaughnessy Heights, Vancouver proper accent.
Got it.
Yes, fancy people talk like that.
Yeah.
So you felt an instant sort of connection with your TV family.
Yes.
There was no were you rehearsing? No rehearsing.
No,
Just
we didn't do table
do
reads or rehearsing or anything. No. You came in, and if we were very, very lucky, they would say, would you like to run lines? And you obviously did that. And of course, as we know with Catherine's like, let's run lines. And then
Catherine was great about that. And she wanted to run everything.
She wanted to rehearse. She would have had like a full rehearsal of the show if she could have.
Totally.
Yeah.
So,
well, she's a theater broad.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. So she's like, where's the rehearsal? So we'd run. And then, he'd say, well, let's try one for blocking. So you'd walk onto the set and you do what the hell you think you were going to do. Well, I think I'm going to come through here and I'm going to say this and we're going to do that. And then it'll be like, okay. Yeah, that's sort of okay. But don't come around the table this way. I think you should stop here, and I think you should come around the table that way. And yeah, what you're doing. No, I don't do that. No, it should be much more. No, don't do that. You shouldn't get mad yet, or whatever direction was required. Oh, okay. And then you'd shoot the darn thing.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah.
So maybe 1, 2, maybe you ran through the line. So it was almost like shoot the rehearsal, and then you were shooting. And then there'd be a couple of takes. And then, we master close up.
And coverage.
You do it 8 million times.
I also cannot fathom the joy and excitement that Richard and Catherine must have had seeing you as their nasty little girl. I mean, it's an actor's dream to work with someone like that, a child like that, as unique and talented, and giving them so much to work off of.
Yes.
That was a cute little thing in the dress. And it was, talk about not me. Again, so not me. I wore jeans and high top red Converse tennies and my Mickey Mouse t-shirt, and that's what I wore to school. And suddenly I'm in a dress, puff sleeves, a petticoat. I'd never seen a petticoat in my life. My Annie Marion was like, your shoes, we need a button hook, and there's hooks and eyes. I thought I had got over this in the 20s.
So what part of the persona of this character did you actually relate to the best?
Well, the feeling like I'm so tired and you're all idiots. Because don't we have that? Don't you have those days you go, why is everyone stupid? And you just want to go, ah. And so Nellie was just like, what? And we've all had that. And I could, as an adolescent, where you're just, everything is, oh God, what now? You could just let that out and go, no, really? What, Laura? And that could just come out. It was great.
You were just a little monster.
In the best way.
In the best way.
My friend Jess, Jess Peterson, who managed with my dad, actually literally said to me when I was sitting there and seeing me with the thing in the puff sleeves and the curls and the petticoats and dress and the shoes, stared at me and said, I think this is the longest I've ever seen you wear a dress.
Right.
Because I would put one on if, grandma was coming or something, and then like, can I take this off now? Are we done? Are we done with the charade that I wear dresses? Can I take this? Can I put my jeans back on?
Alison, we know that you and Melissa Gilbert had a very special bond.
Another instant chemistry, like immediately. Yeah.
So you first met on that first day too. So it was an instant connection with her as well.
Oh yeah. Yes. Because she ran the place at 9, 10 or whatever she was, and as I said, I talked about the book. It was like a prison movie. She comes and goes, "Listen here, is this who you want to talk to? You don't want to talk to. This is going on." And then and that one over there, and it's giving me the rundown on the whole place, and I'm like, How old are you? Because she was so little, even compared to me. I was like a little slip of a thing.
2 years.
2 years.
Okay.
But I said in my book, and Melissa liked it very much, said she guffawed. She was so small. I thought I could put her in my, she looked like I could put her in my purse and she could chew her way out if she had to.
Yeah.
And it's true. I was like, who is this tiny little person? But then she's so serious, going, the baby voice then. I'm like, what is happening? Even my Auntie Mary was like, what is happening? Who is this child? What is she talking about? Yeah. It was very crazy. But I was like, well, clearly this is the person to know. And we hit it off right away.
Totally.
When you remember, I was always fainting. The heat. When I fainted, and they broke an ammonia cap under my nose and shoved a salt tablet in my mouth. Ugh. Tip: try to avoid that ever happening to you, if humanly possible. It's gross. And I was then taken to my dressing room to go rest. And like half an hour later, I had somebody to eat, came down, went back to work. But Melissa was pacing outside my dressing room. She has to get better. We have a fight scene later. She was so upset that we might not get to have a fight scene that day. Yeah. That she paced outside my dressing room waiting for me to get better.
She has spoken. I was just going to say, she has spoken so many times about the fact that you were, yes, ideologically or attitudinally so different within the context of the show, but that because you had this wonderful close relationship, you had this ability to sort of read each other's minds and trust each other completely as to what you were going to do.
Look at her family. Her father was the actor Paul Gilbert. Her grandfather was Harry Crane of The Honeymooners. Have you seen the Dean Martin Christmas special? And she's like 4 and hanging out in the lounge with the Dean Martin Christmas special with all the Christmas people. Wow. She was already had done like 100 commercials. She was a Hollywood child. She knew everybody. She had famous people at her house all the time as a tiny girl, and everyone was show business. So we had great similarities in that. Like, isn't everyone in show business? That weirdness we had that completely in common, which I don't think most normal people do.
No.
It's also so good that you guys did get along so well, because I don't know if you've ever been in a situation where you were with a cast member who maybe didn't like you so much and you had to be in a scene that was aggressive, and sometimes they take it out on you for real, even though they're scripted lines. That's happened to me before.
Not horrifying.
And I can't imagine if you guys actually had not the best relationship, having to fight all the time would get pretty rough.
I'm amazed anyone survived, because tween girls. Anybody hung out with teenage or tween girls, 12, 13?
Horrible.
Right around there?
Horrible.
Let's take 3 girls, like 11, 12, 13, and lock them in a soundstage for 7 years. What could possibly go wrong? And put them under enormous pressure to succeed, to be good on the show, to know their lines, and to be famous, and have agents and managers and stage parents telling all 3 of them, oh, no, this is not it. Now you have to think about your career after this, and what TV movies are you doing in addition, and what publicity events are you attending in order to continue so that you'll have roles besides this show. And then, are you hitting puberty? So are you going to go with full sexy, or are you going to wait until at least 18? And this is 24/7. With these other 2 girls, and your managers and your agent stage parents will tell you are in competition with them and that you should fight them. Yes.
Did you really get that message that you're in competition with them?
Yes. Melissa and I were kind of like, oh, to hell with them.
Okay, so you knew, so you were in on the joke.
Fought it.
So did you talk about the fact that I'm being told that we're in competition with each other?
I was supposed to hate. I know that I managers, agents, my father, Jess. I think Jess. Well, Jess hated everybody. That's what I loved about him. Jess hated everyone. Jess hated everybody. I talk about it in the book. He was hilarious, but he loved me. But yes, I mean, there were times he's like, well, Melissa Gilbert, she's doing that TV man. You should be. Why don't know why? Oh, yes, he was. He was like, wow. I was like, dude, so are you jealous of a 13-year-old? How old are you, man? And I was supposed to be jealous of her and hate her because she's star of the show. And I had people say stuff. I was like, really? The hell you say? And Melissa was getting the same kind of nonsense. And you are the star. And we were like, you want to get Slurpees? Yeah, let's go to 7-Eleven.
Thank God. Thank God for that.
We're not doing this.
Exactly. Pamela, you are exactly right.
God, yes.
I mean, could you imagine if it had gone the other way? I mean, it could have been so easily could have gone the other way. But you obviously had a sense of self strong enough that you knew what crazy was.
Child actors get isolated. Child actors get pulled out of school away from their regular friends. I stayed enrolled in school. Okay, I wasn't there most of the year. But when I would sometimes, you're off and it's hiatus or you're off for 2 weeks, I would go back to school, Bancroft Junior High, Hollywood, and there were these yo-yos. I'd been hanging out since 3rd third grade, many of whom had parents or someone in the industry who did not care. They didn't watch Little House. Sometimes they called it Little Mouse on the Prairie and Little House on the Ferry, and they did not care that I was on the show or who the heck I played, it was fabulous. So, but there can be terrible loneliness because the kids are taught not to fraternize with your competition, and then you're cut off from the school. It's bad.
Well, and it's also so dangerous for adults in the business too, but especially for children to feel like their value is coming, their self-worth is coming from what job they've booked, what gig they got, what TV show they're on. And then when that's not there anymore, who are they? What is their identity? So in retrospect,
that's obviously as adults we go through that.
Of course.
But for a kid, yes, that's
developmentally
huge.
It happens 100%. And it did happen to all of us from the show to some extent. We often had other things going or a support system, but absolutely. When I was 19 and I was done with the show, I mean, yes, I was a hooker on Fantasy Island, and I played Marie Osmond's best friend.
On Fantasy Island.
And I married Wyatt Earp with Marie. So I had stuff to do, and I was doing my stuff. But the initial, first it was like, oh, thank God, I don't have to put on the wig. Yay. I was so happy. And it was, vacation. And then it was like, well, now what? And then the pressure from, all the minions. What are you going to do?
Of course.
Of course. Oh, my God. And I was like living in a bikini because it was the 80s. So it was like, take your clothes off. Okay, so
let's take on that. Let's take a quick break.
Beautiful.
Yes, there she is. And let's take a quick break.
All right, let's take a quick break, and we'll be back with Alison.
When you visit Simi Valley, California, you're stepping into the pages of history. Go from the pioneers to the presidents, explore beautiful wildflowers, hike through iconic Hollywood locations, and end your day aboard the actual Air Force One at the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library and Museum. Less than 15 minutes from Los Angeles and 30 minutes from Universal Studios, Simi Valley has small-town charm with big-time history. Go to visitsimivalley.com for more information. And we also want to thank Alexander GMC of Simi Valley, Golden State Water Company, Marketingscape, Strathern Historical Society, WM, formerly Waste Management, and Vista at Simi. Thank you all.
And we're back today with Alison Arngrim, our special guest. Okay, I just want to ask a quick question because we're talking about children in the entertainment business. And I know that your experience and the majority of people's experiences on Little House were positive. But I'm curious to know how you feel about children being in the business. I mean, if you had a kid who was like, I want to do this, would you be like, yes, we're going to do it? Would you be like, not so.
Dumpster fire hellscape. It's so bad. And is it worse now? Is it bad? Okay, I mean, come on, there's a story. I mean, Shirley Temple had horror stories. I mean, it was worse before we were on Little House. They had established rules, but again, stuff isn't national. This is making me nuts. And I actually had a whole conversation with Paul Peterson, Melissa Gilbert, and Chris Alpert. Recently, we're talking about this because there has to be national legislation. Yes, I plan to work on that and introduce because child labor laws. You say child labor laws. Who's exempt from child labor laws? Who's exempt? Farm workers and children in entertainment. Yes, we are all 100% exempt from. We were never covered by child labor federal law. Children in entertainment are 100% exempt from all federal child labor law. Did you know that? Oh wait, you didn't.
No
Sorry.
Idea.
Yeah. No, so the only protections we had were the Screen Actors Guild and California law, which was all that lovely 3 hours work, 4 hours through 4 hours work, 3 hours school. That whole shebang. That's only in California. Did you think I did that when I went to Florida and made that movie?
Really?
The set teacher had a part in the movie and was in a play downtown. She never taught me at all. My mother said, this is ridiculous. Get back in this trailer. You are. I was like, I'm not going to school. My mother went, yes, you are. Get back. But the teacher has given up on me completely. And then my mother went, yes, but I'm here. Get your butt down. Take this book. Okay. Wow. It was chaos. I don't know how many hours a day I worked. I worked night shoots. I was running around with the alligators and the snakes. And there was like la, la, la. It was absolute anarchy when I was doing the movie in Florida. And this happens a lot. There's a lot of, there's rules now in New York because all the Broadway kids and a lot of film there. So they're piece by piece. But children are not actually protected, and people go nuts and really abuse it. We were very lucky. On Little House, they were by the Helen Manier and Marion. They'd be there with a stopwatch, going, "You may have this child for 20 more minutes." And
interesting.
It was like,
Wow.
yeah, no fooling.
Wow.
So we were very, very, very strict on Little House. And my work permit, by God, my grades couldn't go below a certain level, and I had to check in with the doctor and rah. But then I know people that's like, there's no way you passed a physical, and there's no way you had a C average. I know you didn't. Why do you have a work permit? I don't know, bribery. I don't know who paid who lied on what form. But oh my God, horrible, horrible, horrible. And evil stage parents who pull their kids out of school and take them away from their friends. And I mean, we've heard the tales going back to Judy Garland. Here, take this pill to stay awake.
Sure. And take this pill to wake up.
Still
and take the,
doing it. And now we've seen, yes, there was the horrifying documentary about all the abuse. Yeah, it's bad. You have to be very careful. There are stage parents who are like, oh my God, what monsters. Okay, my kid wants to work, but I'm not letting them out of my sight, and this is how we're going to do this. And you get a good manager in age. Can be done, but yikes. It's, I can't fully recommend it. You would have to proceed with extreme caution, and just know that predators are attracted to where the prey is. It's simply a fact. Like, why do you rob banks? That's where they keep the money.
Yeah, that's where the money is. Yeah.
So people who wish to hurt children sign up to become swim coaches, school teachers, youth pastors, and to work in entertainment where nobody's asking a lot of questions. They simply zero in. They just go there because, if I go there, there will be children. That's how it is.
That's a horrifying thing. I mean, okay, let me ask, you've been around this, you saw it from a very young age. I have to ask this. What do you think? Because not everybody is operating on that level. What do you think the percentage is of people who are operating slightly with a motive that is not altruistic to the children?
I don't know the numbers, but it can't be good. And the horrible part is it only takes one. It only takes one skeevy person on a production if they're in power, and that was what that whole documentary is about.
Well, the documentary, there were several. There was more than just one. There were like 3 or 4. But it was insane.
From the top. Now, that's the thing, is there were skeevy people up top who either were predators or went, I'm getting paid, so I'm going to look the other way. I just don't care enough to do anything about this.
There's so much money involved. We're all making so much money.
Just not going to bother.
And some of these kids, if not all of these kids, are supporting their entire families.
Yikes. Right. Then what? So what happens, and I know Todd Bridges was pretty open in his book about what went down when he went to it was like, yes, we're going to get you away from this guy. We're going to get you help, but we're not really going to pursue this legally or have you really get therapy because you're still working. We have to concentrate on that. Parents who, what are they going to do? Well, I'm being busy. Well, you're paying the rent and the car payment and buying all the food. If they fire you or you quit while we're going to court, how do we eat?
Right.
So, it's horrifying. It's just horrifying.
This is so I, not growing up in a show business family, but watching a lot of this from the set of Little House, not nearly as close into this as you are. But as I watched this, I would have said, as good as it was, and it really was good for the kids on Little House, I would have said, there is no way I would put a kid of mine in this world. And I saw it a little bit, particularly in earlier years in San Francisco with little kids going in for commercials.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll never forget the 3-year-old in the Oshkosh overalls who his mother took him by the shoulders and shook him quickly. Not a hard shake, but a shake. Go in and get this job for mommy. And shook him, turned him around and gave him a pop on the rear and sent him running in the door. What does that do to that kid if he doesn't get that job for mommy? Because the person who's looking at the kid doesn't care about mommy who wants you to get this job.
No.
And what does that do to you? Where do you fall in the pecking order of your family if you don't come out with that job?
Pretty. It ain't pretty.
And some of these kids don't even want to be doing it to begin with.
It's for mom and dad. That career is always for the parents.
I mean, I was at auditions. I remember there was some kid, I think it was his grandmother, but she whacked him in the head with a hairbrush while they were getting her because he wasn't, I guess, saying the lines to her satisfaction. What do? It's so attractive. It attracts some terrible people who are terrible, and we're going to be terrible to their children anyway if they weren't in show business. Here's another thing I can be terrible at.
I think the fact that you've come out of this as causative and compassionate as you are, says good things about your parents. You obviously dealt with some very challenging circumstances at home, no question about it. And if people read your book, they can know about what some of those circumstances are. But when I think of you, I think of a loving, gracious, funny, wickedly funny, sarcastic times, all of those things. But the core of you is good. The core of you is decent. And
very smart.
And
very
well,
smart.
Very smart. But that at your center, it's good. And you have found a way to utilize all of your energy, and you've turned it into this very positive thing for yourself and those you love. It has been really, really good for you. We're going to talk in part 2 of this. We're going to talk about life after Little House and what you've invented, because it's pretty remarkable.
Well, basically, it was just consider the alternative. It's like, what were my choices? You can grab this bull by the horns here, get the reins, and go get help. Go see a therapist. Go do whatever you have to do. Or you can go down that pipeline with everybody else. And that didn't look like a lot of fun.
So I'm just curious, what if you've thought about this, and I'm sure you have because you're the thoughtful person that you are, if you hadn't chosen to go down this path and invest yourself the way you have in this image that you created, which is quite extraordinary, what would you have done? What do you think you would have done?
Well, okay, I'm sitting there going, 62, that's really old for Next Child Star. It's like, it's old for a guitar player. Guitar players, and it's scary, because, my husband Bob is a guitar player, and I go, man, we're both in peril here. Guitar players and Next Child Stars had horrible life expectancies. I suppose if I had not, and I said, my parents, they were nuts, but they were also realists. Like I said, that was the thing. A friend of mine, who's no longer with us, who things did not go so well for, and she ain't here anymore. But she said to me when I was asking her, how come you're so unhappy? Why? You have all these things going, you're unhappy. I'm happy. What is the... And she said, you learned to manage your expectations earlier because you found out things sucked and weren't fair at an early age. I was like, maybe. Because I got to, if I hadn't, well, I would have probably done a whole heck of a lot of drugs, like lots more than I experimented with. And
did you experiment?
I tried. It was the 60s when I was a little girl in Hollywood, and then the 70s.
Wait a minute, you're a little girl in Hollywood.
A little girl, but I'm a small child in the 60s, and everyone's doing face painting and love beads and sit-ins and demonstrations and smoking pot and taking drugs. This is
all
what
in
the
there.
milieu.
Are you like taking it? Are you hitting on a bong or something at 11?
Read that book. The LSD party at 8. That didn't go well. Wow. What can I say? Drugs were everywhere.
That you came out of that on the other end, is pretty amazing.
Because I tried. I honestly, at one point I said, I think I tried every drug known to man before like 14 and went, I don't like, not so much. I didn't like them. There's a bunch of drugs I just didn't like them. There were drugs I went, I don't like this one.
That is lucky.
That is incredibly
saved
lucky.
Me. I lack the brain receptors that process cocaine, saving me millions of dollars.
and your sanity.
And my nose.
Yeah.
It was so weird. I was exposed to everything, and I hung out with a lot of people who were big drug addicts and big alcoholics, and of course I would try to compete. That didn't go well, and so I was like, I guess I'm bad at this. I'm really bad at being a drug fiend. Maybe I should not try. And it was very weird. It was a very, very bizarre time. There's a lot of it's in my book, and I think if I had allowed myself to wallow in depression, if I had allowed myself to not deal with any of my stuff, if I had just said, okay, everything is terrible and there's nothing I can do about it, I just have to feel bad, well, things probably would have gone really badly. I don't really think I would be alive at 62 and having this conversation. I think I would have probably be dead for a while and certainly not look like this or talk like this. But I probably wouldn't be alive at 62 if I had not said, maybe I could do something different. I could live.
Yeah. We need to take. We have consumed so much time here. We need to take one more break, So, Pamela, you need to throw us, and we're going to honor this sponsor obligation again.
Yeah. Because
and then we have to wrap it up. You can maybe ask a couple of questions.
We'll do like rapid fire word association.
Yeah, no, well, we're going to do that next week. We do have a rapid fire thing for next week.
Oh, goody.
Amazingly. But all right, so Pamela, take us to a break.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
When you visit Simi Valley, California, you're stepping into the pages of history. Go from pioneers to presidents, explore beautiful wildflowers, hike through iconic Hollywood locations, and end your day aboard the actual Air Force One at Ronald Reagan Presidential Library and Museum. Less than 15 minutes from Los Angeles and 30 minutes from Universal Studios, Simi Valley has small-town charm with big-time history. Go to visitsimivalley.com for more information.
Okay, we are. Okay, now we're back. I promise. Okay, we have listener questions, viewer questions, depending on you watch it on YouTube or you're listening to it on streaming services. Are you ready?
Right.
We only have time for a couple, but you guys, everyone sent in such brilliant questions, so these will last us through several episodes. So we'll get to a lot of them, not just this one and next week. Okay, Crystal Griffin Cope wants to know, what was a typical day like on set?
Oh, and here I'm trying to quick in. Is a long. The days were long. Get up insanely early in the morning while it's really, really dark, like maybe 3 a.m. Get in the car because you might need to get there at 4 or 4:30. It was really exciting when we got more organized, and I had the wig, and so I could come in 6 or 7. I was like, wow, sleeping in. So you come in really early in the morning, and if it's before a certain hour, they do bring you breakfast in the makeup chair. I got bacon, and then they do your hair and your makeup, and often if you're outside, it's cold in the morning, so the water they dip the sponge in is freezing and uncomfortable, except the beautiful Whitey Snyder, our makeup man, would sometimes, it was very, very cold and we're out in Sonora, would take a cup of hot coffee and dip the makeup sponge in coffee and use that to wet down the pancake to do my makeup.
So the coffee didn't make its way into the color of the makeup?
No, it was thin enough and the makeup was so dark, so a dash of coffee didn't hurt. I smelled like coffee for a lot of the day, which I loved, and it made it nice and warm, and I smelled like coffee all day. So you had the makeup hair ritual, and then let's go, and then you get down there, and they set up the shot, and you might get that one run through we talked about break, and then they'd say, okay, we have to set lighting. Go to school, and then you'd go into whatever building was handy, the school, and you'd have your homework or whatnot, and you'd hide your book, a magazine behind your book, and cheat and try not to do work, but then they'd catch you because I see the magazine, put that down to your algebra, and you do some homework, and then you'd go back out, we're ready for you, and you'd do a scene, and you'd tell Melissa Gilbert how much you hated her, and then they'd say cut, and then you go back to school, and then you go, gosh, I'm hungry, I wonder if there's chili. Is the chili there? I think there's chili. And you'd go get a snack, and it's in the mill, there's sometimes it would be chili from Chasen's and the chopped onions to go on it.
Nice.
And this would go on for a while, and then thank God they'd finally break for lunch, and you'd run like hell up that hill because the fudgicles would all be gone from the frozen thing if you didn't get there first. And you'd have an amazing caterer, the most incredible lunch you can possibly imagine, which you'd eat like sitting on wooden benches in a barn with the crew. Yeah. And then you'd run to makeup to get everything cleaned up because your face was a mess, and clean everything up, and then go back down and do it all again for the rest of the day until finally the nice lady with the stopwatch said, they're 9 hours are up, and they go, all right, beat it. And then you get out. And it was exhausting and dirty and either freezing cold or boiling hot, and it was great.
Yeah, it's nice that you're outdoors all that time. It was great. Okay, very cool. One other quick question. I love this question. Okay. Bourgeois de Stat. That's totally wrong, but forgive me. You'll know who you are.
Oh, you're talking. This is the name you're trying to read.
This is the name. Dest. Okay, here we go. Was the restaurant kitchen a working kitchen? Were you and Karen really cooking?
Not exactly. They sort of kind of did stuff with the stove. If there was a specific thing in the scene that we needed that pan to sizzle and that bacon to hit it in the eggs, they went hook it up and like kind of brought in like one of those portable gas little like burner thing, like shoved it in there basically and turned on so that you would have fire and you could make stuff go. And there was basically a tank of water they would hook up to the water pump if there was water needed to come out of it. They go get the water and they'd put the water in that day and hook it up. Otherwise nothing came out. And 90% of the time that stove just sat there. There was nothing in it. There was certainly no wood. It was fake, like a gas flame brought in artificially and turned on through a tube to make it sizzle if we had to actually cook some eggs and steak, which we did occasionally. But generally it was all giant Hollywood fakery.
There's so much magic on a set that when you get accustomed to it, it's just this. When you first see it, the skill sets of people and what they're able to do, and the things with light and with heat and cold and all these things that the special effects can do are really amazing. And it's sort of cool not to get too used to it because you want to appreciate the amazing things that these people are doing to make something that has to happen right now. We're not waiting an hour for this. It has to happen right now because the clock is running
and perfectly,
and it's ready
and perfectly.
It's amazing. One last question.
One more.
We gotta say goodbye.
I love this question because I've often wondered this too. Okay, Turpick TRPCK asks. I noticed that Nellie often tended to run with her arms down at her side, holding her skirt on either side. So she was kind of shuffling away quickly versus full-out Laura-like running. Was this a deliberate acting choice made by you for the character?
And I was mocked directly and thoroughly for this. In fact,
so Nellie.
I will say that Melissa Sue Anderson did snort and point and laugh and go, "Are your legs flying off? Help, my legs are flying off." Allison is holding her leg. What is wrong with you? My petticoat was very heavy. You notice the ladies didn't run. They had big petticoats. If they remember, Ma played ball. She had the skirts pulled up and tucked in because you can't run in them things. And Laura and Mary, they had a little slip. They had a little cami slip. They had little pantaloons and a little slip under the dress. My petticoat weighed nearly 30 pounds. That thing was huge. It was 5 layers. It was so heavy that when they would put it around and they'd clip it in the back and sometimes needed a giant safety pin to hold it, it would dig into my waist and leave marks. It was extraordinary. I can't imagine when it got wet. Like when I couldn't get out of the mud or the pond unassisted. I had to be helped because once the petticoat got wet, I don't know what it weighed. It was physically impossible to stand up. It was very heavy. So when I ran, it would swing like a bell and slam into my legs and knock me to the ground. I wouldn't have made it more than 4.5 feet. So hence, I clutched the petticoat and the skirt so I could get somewhere without falling face forward on the ground.
Wow.
Wow, 30 pounds petticoat in 100 degrees Simi Valley weather. Fun. Good times.
It was, I think, for the women, it really truly was blistering hot out there during the summer months, and inevitably you're shooting Christmas, in July, and so scarves. All of this is just insane. For the guys, it's you're wearing a pair of jeans and or some sort of a trouser and a boot and a shirt. I mean, it's like life is normal.
You had a lot of wool.
Yeah, if you're Michael Landon, you go shirtless every now and then.
Yeah,
and you had a lot of wool. I always thought the scratchy wool pants, that had to be bad because I saw a lot of scratchy wool pants on the man. I go,
but they were lined though.
They
were lined.
Okay,
so listen, so that's got to be it for this week. We've got to dive. So take us out, Pamela.
Okay, that is our podcast for today. Do not worry, we have so much more to discuss. We'll have part 2 with Alison next week, where we'll talk about our beloved Percival, the late great Steve Tracy, as well as some more serious topics around Little House being a safe space, as well as her incredible advocacy work and legacy. Yeah, so keep an eye on social media this weekend. The Prairie Folk will be in Independence, Kansas, as we talked about earlier this weekend. Big Sky Movie Ranch tours start again on June 8th.
And I don't have the correct. I'm sorry, I do not have the correct URL for that.
And who's going to be on that bus?
I know I will be.
As will I.
So we'll be there together.
I'm going to do the bus. I think I'm doing 2. You're doing the early one.
Yes, I'm doing the other one because I've got to go to my granddaughter's dance recital later on the 8th.
I just went to my great nieces.
I am being told I will not miss the dance recital.
I went all the
you
way
won't.
from
Priority.
Nashville to Knoxville to get to my great niece's dance recital.
There you go.
How old is yours? How old is yours?
She is 7.
Oh.
And a very grown-up 7, too.
Mine was only 4,
She has
but
the
she was good.
cigarette and in one hand,
you coming to the recital?
She knows if Grandpa's there or not. So let's take us out.
I got you house
if,
seats.
If you want to reach us, go to our socials, Little House 50, Little House 50 podcast, and our website, littlehouse50podcast.com. You can catch up with everything we're doing, and we will see you next week. Bob, get the wig. Let's fly, folks.
Yes.